Question 1060. Should parents be allowed to make medically unnecessary body modifications to their children?
No.
Well, they do already, so...
Well, this is why we're asking if they should be allowed.
Well, I mean, do earrings count as that?
They, within the context of the question, yes.
Yeah.
I was 2 when I got my earrings. So my first.
I mean, I've seen
No.
some cases of the most common I've seen is where you have an adolescent girl with a nose the size of Texas, and they give her a nose reduction, whatever that is.
I'm sorry, the most common one you will have seen in the States is circumcision.
Well,
I mean,
no,
you won't have physically checked.
I don't seek to
but
look.
You know.
Yes, exactly.
You've been round and checked them all. Sammy says no. Cyril says hell no. Ricardo says yes. Granny.
Female circumcision is also a huge issue.
Yes.
Yeah. I can't imagine there'd be any debate on this question. No.
But in which case, where is your line? Do you allow earrings?
No.
Do you allow? No.
No. Do you choosing for somebody else like that? No, you don't. You know, absolutely not. Absolutely not. No.
Do you allow them to make decisions, for example, on noses? Do you allow a 12-year-old to have a nose job because the parents allow it?
Yes.
Hold on. I mean, look. This kind of this is changing the question a little bit, because this is then getting into a point of what is a right age to consent to something like that.
Yes. Well, this is what the point is you have medically necessary.
The implication was that it was medically unnecessary stuff that the parents choose to do to children.
But someone that's 12 cannot consent to it.
Well, you also have an issue too that unless it is medically necessary, very few plastic surgeons are going to do that, because a child is still growing into their body anyway. So.
I don't think you're going to find many tattoo places or whatever that are going to go and ink a child at 12 years old, even with the parents' permission.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
I mean, earrings in teenage years, piercings, maybe, they'd do it, but...
With the nose job, there's also the question of what constitutes medically necessary.
Yes, very much so.
Because if the child is so disturbed by his or her appearance, it might be medically necessary.
But then the question
then it's medically, yes.
The question specifically was medically unnecessary.
Yeah. Right. But that's the thing, is how do we decide what's medically unnecessary? What about hormones for transgender children?
Yeah, see, that's
not surgery. That's not surgery.
No, it's not surgery. But
this is where I feared it would be going. Actually, but by implication, the question was medically unnecessary. So, by implication of that,
the entire transgender stuff is pretty much safe.
I mean, yes, and after fucking Wally put his foot in it the other day, I'm not going near that I'm not going near that with a fucking 10-foot pole. I'm sorry.
Couldn't count the chat. Lone one.
I will.
Fuck no. Genital mutilation is wrong.
Jen, you've got a right to.
Yep, I do.
I feel like I do.
Right, Ricardo says, can a 13-year-old make a tattoo? A 15-year-old get a piercing? Well, this is the kind of the question. At the moment, I don't believe they're allowed to without consent, are they? Are the parents?
No, I believe it's I don't know about the UK. At one time, it used to be like 16 or something for with consent for. I mean, I knew kids my age when I was at school who had piercings, and one or two that even had tattoos. I do know that one friend of mine got a tattoo at 16, and his father ended up chewing his ass out over it because he had not gotten permission. But then again, this was probably a little bit back in the days when a lot of those like tattoo places or whatever, some of them were not always ethical back then. Let's just say that. But that's definitely an industry within the UK that has cleaned itself up a lot. So
I still think there are nice dodgy ones you can go to if you want to.
Oh, I'm sure there are, but compared to what it was like.
Harmonica Man says no. Lone Wanderer Variety Channel says there are some places. Oh no, she said that. Yeah, fuck no, genital mutilation is wrong. There are some places in the world where there is no age of consent, so anyone under the age can consent to a contract. Is there? I'm not sure about that.
No, in most states, a minor cannot sign a binding contract.
Yeah.
They
Well,
can sign
in the
it, but
entire United
it's not a
States,
binding.
it's
Is it the
UCC.
Okay.
Mummy, I don't like my nose is not medically necessary. Says never again. Somebody says pink bits are sinful and should be chopped off. Well, this is the problem. I really struggled with phrasing this question because the problem is an awful lot of people that propose circumcision say that it is necessary. What's wrong with you?
Sorry, that was funny.
I
like that. I want that. Pink bits are sinful and they should be chopped off. I like that. So nice.
That's your little finger going. Brainbug says medically necessary can often is built on mental health evaluation. Yes. Shush, or I'll mute you.
That's where I was trying to get to.
Yeah.
Well, but I think the base thing that you have to consider is that all citizens should have a right to bodily autonomy.
Yes.
Which they don't. In this country. The state takes all sorts of control, or I should say the right-wing states take all sorts of control over people's bodies. They got no goddamn business doing it, but they think they do.
No, and that's what I was trying to talk about earlier is, we need to be able to give our children their own sense of autonomy in their bodies, which is there's the whole line of reasoning why you really shouldn't spank your children and stuff for that reason, because they need to feel.
I'm really sorry. I'm gonna have to run away. I'm gonna have to run away for 2 minutes. Can you carry on with this conversation?
We can keep talking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's gone now. Let's all fuck off.
Totally lost my train of thought. Oh yes. But at the same time, while giving them autonomy and not taking it over for yourself, they have to be able to make responsible decisions. And at what age, does that really work? So, however, no, medically unnecessary body altering things to children is just other than, I mean, there are levels of it. Like I said, when you have, piercing ears and stuff like that is one thing, but
as a general rule,
so not 2 minutes. I try.
As a general rule, I do not think that adolescents should be allowed to have transgender surgeries. I think, having said that there are probably certain adolescents who are mature enough and advanced enough in their decision making and intellectual capabilities to understand what they're doing and would be acceptable to do something like that. But since we have to operate under a base rule, I think the base rule should be that surgery for transgender kids does not get done. Let me finish. I think waiting until they're 18 is a very, very bad decision. I think most adolescents can make a clear decision about themselves that way, probably by the time they're 15 or 16.
The problem
and I think they should be allowed.
I don't think that's a valid argument for transgender in general, as opposed to it being an argument for lots of things in life. Does that make sense? There are people that
I don't understand.
In the same way that you can potentially be an emancipated minor.
Oh,
there
okay.
are people that are mature enough to make decisions at 14.
Yes.
And there are people at 22 that aren't mature enough to make decisions.
Yes, agreed.
Our system at the moment picks an arbitrary date and says, "That's it. You're gonna be. You can now make your life-changing decisions."
I would also like to complete my thought by saying that any society that would decide that puberty blockers are not allowed for any transgender child is absolutely daft, and they have no business taking that kind of bodily autonomy and parental decisions away from people and families. It's just the state has no business making those decisions at all.
No, totally agree. So, basically, we're saying parents shouldn't be allowed to. We should try and encourage kids to be to a point where they can make their own damn decisions. And most people...
If I had a daughter who was, 13, 14, 15, and she had, this nose the size of Texas, I've seen what girls go through when they have I don't want to say defect, but they have a feature that is easily harassed by their peer group. It's horrible what these children go through. And I think that if an adolescent at 14, something like that, wants to have that because they have a terribly big nose, that they should be allowed to.
Yeah, because
the child's making the decision, but the parents, of course, have the responsibility.
It's very hard to separate the decision from the parents at that point.
Yeah,
you've only got to look at political alignment.
It is difficult. It is difficult though in the situation like Jenny described there, because we know. Kids do not fucking know where the boundary is at times. To be honest, they're fucking cruel, and because we haven't quite formulated a lot of the time where the fuck the boundaries are.
The problem is, again, you're talking about something that's a bigger problem in wider society.
Absolutely.
I had this. This is one of the questions I had discussed with Kaz earlier, and my issue is this: what Jenny is asking for, I would let my kid get. Right? If my kid had a honking nose and wanted it to fit in the society we live in right now, I would let her. I would fight for her to have it. I don't think we should live in that society. And I much prefer society was changed so it didn't matter.
in that scenario, Jenny, I would be like, absolutely. If I thought that was going to stop, I had a child and I thought that was going to stop my child getting bullied, and being made to feel like shit about something every fucking day. Because I was fucking bullied every day for fucking years, so I know what that's like. It's not fucking pleasant.
No, it's not. It promotes suicide. Having been there myself.
Yeah, you're preaching to the converted here.
Summing up the question, nothing. We want to be able to let the freedom that a kid can change something that they want to change, whilst parents basically having no ability to force anything upon them.
I think we have to start with the base opinion of the state, of the system, that bodily autonomy is everyone's right. That it's a basic right, and each case really needs to be dealt with on an individual basis.
But even when you have bodily autonomy, you have a duty of responsibility to children. They can't necessarily make decisions.
The parents certainly does. Yes.
And the state does to a degree. Where that degree falls is more iffy. But I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued actually that more people fell down on the earrings. I expected more people to want to fight for parents to be allowed to get their 2-year-old ears pierced.
But they can.
Yes,
they
should
can
be
and they
able
do.
to. You go, never again
kind of
says you're all assuming parents are good parents, but how many actual good parents have you known?
Most of them, by far.
You think? I'm not convinced. I think most parents.
I don't think most parents are particularly good at it, but
yes.
I know that for most of them, the intent to be is there.
Oh, I think so. I totally agree. I think most parents try to do their best. I think most parents fuck their kids up in unique and interesting ways that they never conceived of, usually in opposition to what their parents said.
And what fucks up one kid is not necessarily going to fuck up the next one. So
no, very much not.
It's an impossibility to gauge.
Yeah. I'm fairly convinced I fucked my daughter up.
Okay. See, I believe that. I believe that.
Ilya says, I'm in the South and I believe I was a wonderful parent. I believe I was a wonderful parent. That doesn't mean to say that I don't think I fucked my daughter up. The problem you've got is you don't know how your actions will necessarily impact on them. If you enjoyed that, please hit the thumbs up button. If you didn't, hit the thumbs down. If you think you've got a better answer or just want to tell us how wrong we are, leave a comment down below. Subscribe down here for new questions every day and make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on our live shows. If you click over here, you'll see our latest upload. Over here, for what YouTube thinks you'll love the most. And finally, for a complete playlist of all our currently released questions, click here.